Oops, didn't realize I had a radio feeding in. There we go. What's up, cool kids? How's it going? I'm gonna go to the other one for a bit. It's Saturday. Woo! Cold in Denver. Super frosty. Game of Life is still kicking it. Let me tweak the camera again, get the exposure right. Pretty decent. Big body count. What's up, Wheezy? How's it going? Good to see you. Give it a couple minutes, and then we're gonna do the ceremonial ASMR beer crack. Man, everybody's sick and stuff. Reading chat. It's not good, man. Not good. 20x4. Yeah. Yeah, we got some diagnostics going on here. We'll mess with this a little bit today. It's the same thing. You just change the parameters. Yeah. I've had a bunch of 16x2s, but I decided to splurge for my rotator controller. Got the 20x4. Yeah. Yeah, you just tell it the rows and columns, and it addresses things just fine. Trash baby, what up? Alright, we got a few people in here. Here we go. ASMR beer crack. Today, celebration of Texas Independence Day, when they tried and failed to secede from the U.S. We're drinking Shiner Bock. Here we go. Alright, now it's a stream. It sounds really good on the mic, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. And I had no idea it was Texas Independence Day today. But I was at the grocery store and was like, what am I getting for the stream? PBR, but that's, I drink that all the time. Then I saw Shiner and it was decent price. So I was like, fuck yeah, drinking Texas beer today. And it's like one of the less offensive of the Texas cultural things, because it's, you know, it's like those German hill country Texas gang, and they're okay. Kolaches and all that stuff. Tecate's good too. I've had it. Yeah, I've had it on the stream. I rotate through. Can't get burned out on the macros, you know. Got to spin through them. I don't know. I was looking and it was driving me nuts. Like a steering wheel in a pirate's crotch. But it was driving me nuts at the grocery store. Because like I wanted a sampler or something, and they all have like 6 fucking IPAs or like just like hops in a can beers, and I was like, I don't want that. I want something that doesn't have that like tongue shredding bitter shit. I'm just not into IPAs. I've got enough bitterness in my life IRL, you know what I mean? I don't need that in my beer. And then they have like the build your own 6-pack thing, which I really like. It's super cool. But they didn't have any like cardboard boxes to put your beers in. And I was like, what am I supposed to just like put these in a paper bag or something? I don't know. We just got full strength beer in the grocery stores on January 1st here. They were restricted to 3.2 for decades. And then we finally joined the 21st century and legalized full strength beer in the grocery stores. They all have big spreads, but they don't know how to sell beer. So I've been trying to decide, like, do I want to go to the liquor store where they know what the fuck they're doing, or do I want to, support the grocery store beer thing? I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but anyways, I got my Shiner. I got a bunch of crap I'm playing with here on the bench. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you like, what's the legend? Like, they just dosed like IPAs with hops, so they would go from India to the UK, or I guess just Britain back then, something. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, like, I don't like the IBU pissing contests that so many of those beers are in. Like, I'll sample one now and then, but I've been there, I've experienced it. Like, even though I don't like sours, I would rather drink sours or whatever than just like blast my mouth with a bunch of IPA. It's just, I ain't down. No bueno. So we got our Shiner, we got our Game of Life. I made a little modification on this. Let me pull code up. Hang on. Switch cams in a sec once I get the right screen up. So when you left us last, we were working on hacking on the Arduino Game of Life. It's an Uno board driving an 8x8 for the game board, and then a 20x4 LCD for stats and ship posts. And so here's our code. I actually put it on GitHub. If anybody wants to fork, that's cool. I figured today we might do a little bit of refactoring and kind of goof with things. But I made an interesting hack. Let me bump font size, because there we go. That should be better. I may switch to a higher stream resolution because some people have mentioned that it's kind of hard to read mass amounts of code. So we're hacking on the rules of the Game of Life, and the rules by default are if you have fewer than 1 or more than 3 neighbors in the 8 cells around you, you die. So I made a little modification, and I added a couple variables. The lower and higher thresholds are now sociability and solitude. And then I just do a random, so there's a 3% chance that a particular cell will be super social, and it'll be happy with 4 neighbors. Or happy with 3 neighbors, I think. Yes. Yeah, because if it's greater than... Yeah, so if it has 5 neighbors and it's sociable, it'll die, but it'll live with 4. And then also a 3% chance that it likes solitude, so it's less tolerant of having neighbors. So I just kind of fuzzed it a little bit to where it runs a little bit differently. It doesn't massively change like how it runs. I just noticed that there are some different patterns that pop up, and things sometimes live a little bit longer. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So there's, just kind of, going with the whole Game of Life concept. Occasionally you will evolve, somebody in your society that will, be happier in a higher population density, or, also require a lower population density. They just hate other people. So there's a random chance that cells will either be the life of the party, or they'll just be a total hermit. So that's fun. Just to do a little bit of hacking, let's just play with some of the parameters for a few minutes while the stream kind of warms up and all that. Let's see here. So we have 3 is the default, and has a 3% chance of going to 4 on the upper threshold. So let's see what happens when we set the floor to 4, and now they'll be much happier on average, and there will be a chance that like a cell will be super social. Like, it'll be fine with 5 neighbors. Let's just see what it does, because it looks quite different. And it makes very, very different patterns. And they stabilize very, very quickly. You can see it fills out the edges of the board very readily. And they just kind of make a little city almost instantly and just kind of hang out there. I thought that was really cool. and they reach a stable state very quickly. Like, the only reason the board's resetting is that it hasn't seen any changes. So really, this kind of represents that if we're on average happier with more neighbors, the little cells just build a city and they're happy and they'll live forever in that structure. Much less chaos, much less, kind of moving around and living and dying and stuff like that. So there's probably some deeper sociological lesson there, You can change that back to 3. And then I guess it doesn't matter if we drop that to... Well, yeah. Let's make everybody super antisocial. Upload and see what it does there. So now there's a 3% chance that a cell will require no neighbors to live. That's some pretty cool patterns. I dig that. I think it's really interesting that whenever you play with the parameters of Game of Life, it seems to fill out the edges of the game board. One thing that I learned is that a lot of software implementations of this do a wraparound. So something will kind of go off the edge of the board, but it continues to go on the other end and comes back in. This algorithm does not do that, which is why it kind of fills out the borders there. So I might like to try to figure out the math on how to get it to wrap around so you could have stuff going off of one edge and coming back in on the other. I think that'd be really cool. I think, what's our lifespan sitting at? Yeah, 10 milliseconds per gen. And take it to 100. Slow it down just a little bit. Wait for the little reset. There we go. Yeah, when you break the rules, like the 2 and 3 thresholds, which are actually 1 and 4, seem to be very finely tuned by. I keep wanting to say Tim Conway, but this was not written by Dorf. But the 1 and 4 thresholds for dying due to loneliness or overcrowding seem to be very finely tuned. Like, you can definitely tell that they messed with them and kind of got things to where they ran in a very interesting fashion. So we'll just take it back to stock. Let's give them a higher chance of being mutants. So stock parameters, but they have a higher chance of being weirdos that either love neighbors or absolutely hate them. And I think this like breaks some gliders and oscillators and stuff like that too. But in general, it runs a lot like the stock one. But you can tell, like, yeah, it has some slightly different mechanics. It seems to live a little bit longer. It seems like a lot of them devolve into dying out with the cell of 4. That just kind of goes static, and then no changes go on from there. This one's living. Yeah, there you go. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, see, it dies out to the little commune, the little 2x2, so many times, almost every time. I haven't seen too many other static states pop up yet with these rules. That's a new one. So yeah, I've been fascinated by this ever since the last stream. I've been totally messing with it. It's a lot of fun. I love it. Just like playing with the chance that there'll be mutants or whatever. I think it's really cool. And don't really know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm no mathematician, but it sure is fun to kind of tweak things and see how the patterns change. But this seems to be really robust, even with the default rules. Adding that chance that they will be more tolerant of neighbors, and also a chance that they'll be less tolerant of, dying out. Just seems like it's makes for a more robust society that lasts a lot longer. I'd really like to. What I was thinking of doing long term for this is to basically turn this into. That was a cool one. Ended up with a little cross pattern. Since there are a few bytes of EEPROM on here, which is electrically erasable and programmable memory that you can write to, that's preserved after it's powered off. There's some thoughts in my head that I could store, say we find a new oscillator or something like that, because this is a simple state machine. We only need to store one screen of any oscillator, and it should reproduce it. So what I'd like to do is get some logic in here to basically blast through boards, and when it finds an oscillator, to store it in its non-volatile memory, and then whenever the engine hits a steady state, to compare it against all the known oscillators. If it finds a match, it just nukes the board and starts over and says we already know about that one. And if it does not know about that one, it'll add it to fresh storage. So we can just let this thing kind of sit there and crunch out oscillators and states, and it will log them. And then we can just go back and dump all that RAM, or not RAM, ROM, and see what it found. I think that would be really cool. Also thinking of like having it go into like a slowdown mode when it's got some sort of oscillator running, to where, like normally it goes to like 10 millisecond generations or whatever. But then if it finds something that's interesting, it slows way down, maybe makes a little beep or something so you can look over and see what the hell's going on. I think that would be really cool. Lots of ideas for this, lots of ideas. And I haven't done it yet, but I learned about multi-dimensional C arrays. So all this shit here, all this trash, we can nuke this out with a little bit of refactoring. So I'm going to be working on that too, because we have lots of memory left. 565 bytes used. So we've only used about a third of, or a quarter of the memory, variable memory. This is Harvard architecture, I think. Is that right? Yeah. So this is Harvard architecture, which means that program and variable memory is separate locations, and one cannot address the other, except Arduino does have a library to store data in program memory. It's called the progmem library. And I've thought about playing with that a little bit, because we have tons and tons of space here. We got like 20K of memory here. And I think it's slower, and you have to use special routines and stuff like that to get and set. But it's possible. It's not ideal. I think that memory is slower or something like that. I forget for sure. But yeah, so I kind of like it with the chance of mutation. It provides much more interesting kind of generations, and seems to last a little bit longer. And the societies are more stable. And then, yeah, it always dies out to those little 4 blocks. Not always, but a lot of times. And I haven't found oscillators yet on this board. I did let it run overnight. Found a really cool one that I tweeted about a couple nights back. It was this long duration oscillator. It like went all the way around the board. Let me pull it up. Hang on. Where the hell are one of my tweets? There we go. Yeah, here we go. So I found this one. And it's completely stable. I think it's beautiful. It's just this little, it just runs laps around the map. What's interesting about this is that I've found this twice. So I let it run overnight, and I woke up yesterday morning, and it was doing the same thing, except it was going clockwise instead of counterclockwise, which makes sense. It doesn't care about direction or whatever. But thought that was a really neat structure. I guess it only works in this particular implementation because in a textbook Game of Life, the board does wrap around, so it wouldn't do this. But because we're on a constrained play board, it actually just does laps forever and ever. Like I woke up and it was on like, that's like a 200 millisecond delay, so five per second. And I think I was on like generation like 30,000 or something when I woke up, so it was like just going for hours. Like I found it at like 2:13 in the morning or something like that. I actually did the math. But yeah, I thought this one was super cool. And yeah, I found it going clockwise too. So that's a cool one. I dig it a whole lot. Having a lot of fun with the Game of Life. Never thought it would be this entertaining to just mess with. Turns out it's really fun, and it's good like programming exercise too. I want to optimize this. I've been so busy. Work was crazy. We had a big like summit or meetup or whatever of all of my company's C programmers. So I was out hanging out with them all during work days and then going out for beers afterwards and stuff. Pretty smart gang, but I'm glad I don't work on that team. Anyways, I'm gonna just let the Game of Life chug for a little bit. We'll play around with some other stuff. One thing that I did set up today, that a couple people have asked for me to kind of explore. Yeah, I know. I was subtweeting you there. So one thing that I've been wanting to goof with a little bit on the stream is software-defined radio. Nice, Farm Dizzle. Yes, hit it up. Here, hang on. Please tell me I'm still fucking logged in. Whoop. Where the hell is it? Okay, I got it. Thank you. All right, I'll post the repo in chat. There we go. If anybody wants to fork this, I will take pull requests. So I don't have a real fancy SDR yet. Okay. All right. Now, hang on. Before SDRs, I just got called out. I'm feeling attacked. Let's talk over snipe script here. Okay, so background for people that don't know, on this dumb forum that we play with, it used to be a thing to snipe the top of a fresh page. There are 40 posts per page, and the game was A, post snipe on the top of a new page, and B, if you post snipe and somebody sniped it before you and you're actually the second post on the page, if anybody saw you, they would quote you and you could get like probated or whatever, banned. Oh my gosh, just go to all my repos. So I developed some scripts. This does not actually post snipes. It is in Perl. Y'all like Perl? Shameful ninja edits, yes. Yeah. Y'all know I write Perl, right? Good shit. This is right when I was learning Perl too. Of course it's real. Yeah. Okay, this is actually the script that would post it in IRC. So yeah, here we get the URL. We look at the page and we count posts. Bunch of horrible regex. Save the thread ID out. Look at all this $_ variable usage. Oh my gosh, so horrible, so horrible. That's the like when you do for each in Perl, this is the iterator that it gives you. I fucking love Perl though. It's so good. And it's good for stuff like this because it's text munging. Perl is still a valid language. I don't think it's dead. But I mean, you got to think this was like 8 years ago, something like that. So yeah, we build up multi-dimensional arrays of what threads are snipeable at the moment. And then we can actually take a look and see if somebody has already sniped it. Yeah, there we go. This is, yeah, look at this. Fucking IRC color codes and all that in there. Man, I want to, like, I'd spin this back up, but I'm not going back in the IRC channel. Yeah, awk is good. Yeah, IRSSI has some really weird kind of structures, but yeah, that's one of their message levels. That'd be a good username. Like 2 people on the planet would get it, but they'd laugh so hard. So yeah, here's where I actually do all the math, and then we would post notifications to the channel. And then yeah, for each snipes, message yes boss. And then once a minute, it would just run it over and over again. I was paranoid because I was like, oh, what if Lotax gets mad that I'm scraping the page? And turns out that that's so not a concern. He was probably just happy to see extra traffic on his dying ass web forum. It was dying 8 years ago, right? So yeah, that was the IRC snipe script. Good shit, yo. Vintage jams. We'll play with SDRs after the top of the hour, I think. We're having fun laughing at my old code. This is the BBS software that I've been working on over the past like 8 years. It's a fork, but it has cool things like a actual browser. Like, there's like a message board built into the BBS that's just like local storage, but I actually tied it into post on the forums, and I could actually have other users on the BBS post on the forum through the BBS. By nobody would probably do this today, but by uploading their cookie into the BBS so it would auth properly, because I couldn't figure out how to pass through logins, but I figured out if we stored the cookie from a logged in session, that you could then post under any user that you had a cookie for on the board. So it works. I mean, it absolutely works. I think I deleted a bunch of shit when I did that last push. I'm not very good with Git. I'm not very good with source control at all. I mean, I get it, but I don't use it. I had when I was working on this, so this was actually running. All right, y'all want to hear some grossness? Okay, so I had 5 DigitalOcean instances running, the little $5 ones. They were all running Docker. Docker was running a container running this software. I had load balancing coming in for incoming telnet connections, so it would round robin through them. And then because this is not expected to be running on a clustered system, it just has one master. Like it's it's like NoSQL or something on the back end. So I had to figure out how to get all the instances to think that they had one big shared file system. So I used BT Sync, fucking torrent sync on my local network. And I was syncing a folder that contained all of the DB files that it was expecting. So there was like 5 seconds lag maybe between the instances while they synced on a change. But by God, it worked. It was amazing. So I had a clustered bulletin board with load balancing coming in, cluster file system on the back end, and then yeah, I hacked it up to like actually post on web forums and all that, and played door games. I got bored with it, but I still have all the code. Yeah, this is my fork of that. I should pick it up and fuck with it a little bit more. Cop Scrape was fun. Cop Scrape was more Perl. This was actually me. City of Fayetteville had a just a static updated once a minute police dispatch page that just had like text dumps of all their police dispatches. And I decided that I wanted to play big data with it. There's a few parts to it. One of them was a scraper. This is the scraper, I believe. Check out my horrible... Okay, so when I was building this, let me zoom in here, because this shit is gross. Anybody that knows anything about computers is going to just, like, die in horror here. So here's my process control to make sure that it's not running on top of itself. So that's hideous. I was using MySQL, and I didn't understand what a primary key was. So check out what I did, just like in a vacuum. So this is all just scraper code, where I went through the page, and you don't want to log things, like multiple times. So that's what a bunch of this does. Y'all like for each loops? Cause I got them. Yo dog, I put a for each loop in your for each loop, so you can for each while you for each. This actually uploaded to the DB. It dupe checked, dump. Yeah. So it dupe checked. So when you're thinking about police dispatches, multiple dispatches could come with the same exact timestamp, but different addresses. Multiple dispatches could come in with different timestamps at the same address, and multiple dispatches could come in with the same dispatch message, like drunken public, whatever. So I wanted to make sure that only each unique combo of address, timestamp, and crime would be logged, and it would be logged exactly once. Yeah. Here's what I did. I just added another field to each record, and I just MD5'd the timestamp, the address, and the description. And you know what? It worked. I invented primary keys on my own. Yeah, that was a fun program. I actually got tweets from the city of Fayetteville, kind of giving me props for this. They thought it was really interesting. Because what I did later is I put a little Django front end on this with a Google map, and I threw push pins up on all the dispatches, and you could just like keep the page up, and every minute it would reload with the latest 20 dispatches. Learned some interesting things off this, actually. Probably the most fascinating was, of course I had it in a DB. I then flew that into Splunk. So I could, I love Splunk. I guess elk stacks are fun to fuck with too, but Splunk lets you ingest like up to a gig a day, so it's fine for like low traffic newbie shit like that. So I flew the records for like a year and a half of dispatches, watching 24/7 into Splunk, and then just did simple, top 100 addresses and stuff like that. The number one dispatch location was the Walmart. The number two dispatch location was the other Walmart. So those were in close contention. The one on kind of the bad side of town had like 25% more than the other Walmart, but even the less popular Walmart had more dispatches by a factor of 40 over the next most commonly dispatched to location. And I was like, that's really fascinating. And then it came out over the next few years that it turns out that Walmart really aggressively calls the cops on anybody that's shoplifting, anybody that's causing trouble. Basically, they use their town's PD as their own loss prevention force. So they will always call the cops all the time for everything. And like some like smaller towns and bigger towns, actually, a lot of them just park a cop at the Walmart because they're going to go there literally 20 times a day. So yeah, interesting educational story about how Walmart uses, you know, kind of municipal resources as their own private security force. Pretty gross. So I let that run for about a year and a half, and then I moved away. So I shut it down. But I thought about making this like a service. I originally created this, and yeah, this does geolocation on everything, on all the addresses, and gives lat and longe. Because the reason that I did this in the first place is that I basically wanted a service that would like email or like IRC me or something whenever the cops got called to any place within a half-mile radius of my house. So this is what that turned into. But it did work, and like I would get first an email, and then I changed it to send SMS to my phone. Because it would do geo lookups on every dispatch, and then I actually did math because I had latitude and longitude. With that, you can at least kind of ballpark the distance from your current location, and then see how far they are. So when it was within a half mile or something like that, I would blow my phone up just in case I wanted to know what was going on, and it worked really well actually. And then I turned it into a little web app and had a little maps UI and stuff like that. And one cool thing that I did, I didn't save any of the data, but I then got a set of maps, just basically like census maps that would break down the city by like income level, racial makeup, family makeup, and stuff like that. And I started overlaying those with like heat maps of crime and stuff like that. Not specifically crime, but the number of times the cops were called. And like you'd see like the white neighborhoods would just be super hot spots, like typical like let me talk to your manager type, calling the cops for everything type things. And then these two just like I remember the heat maps for the Walmarts were so hot that it was just this big pink blob right above each one. So, fun with Pearl. Yeah, that shit's very old, but I did save it. And then, of course, here's the vaporizer. Vaporizer is very fun. Back before I knew, again, what I was doing, didn't even realize that this was C. But this is where I built a very trashy little real-time OS in the code. You can tell here, let me go to raw. Blast through all this. Define all our vars. There's a whole bunch of setup type stuff. You can tell I'm setting lots of timestamps and all that. Hell yeah, we are. We don't know anything about good, like, best practices in here. So here's my horrible little pseudo real-time OS. There's no interrupts. But yes, you're right, Trash Baby. This is one of the 3 facts that I posted. I had 2 resumes when I was trying to get a job. I had one that had the vape on it, one that did not. And I decided to use my resume that did have the vape to apply to my company. And it turns out that it worked great. And I was like, well, shit, if I got hired with that on there, I might as well make it one of my fun 3 facts. So this is a super trashy little real-time OS. I timed everything to make sure that it didn't take nearly as long, so it still sets 90% idle. I remember that. I remember my first day, and I knew that we would be friends forever on that day. Absolutely Trash Baby. So yeah, every 50 milliseconds it checks the buttons to see if they're pushed. Every 100 seconds it checks the temp sensor. every half second it would set the fan speed because there's a little blower that actually circulated the air through. 100 millisecond draw, screen draw, 100 milliseconds for controlling the heater, and then it sent a log out the serial port every second. This was actually connected to the Raspberry Pi. If anybody remembers the absolute pinnacle of this vape back in the day, we had it in the IRC channel, and people could send it commands, so they could literally turn my vape on remotely from across the internet. So we had fun with that. And so the log actually turned into a routine that allowed for serial control, because Arduinos, which I was using for the main controller, have that serial port. So I just wrote a little script on the Raspberry Pi side to talk to the Arduino, and then you could send it just one character commands, and then it would read the temp and stuff like that. So that's kind of the high level structure of how all that worked. And then, yeah, here's where we would print Dune quotes to the LCD whenever we would take it from standby to preheat to actual vape mode, and then the cool down, stuff like that. Oh man, flashbacks. That might be a fun project this summer. After we like build the satellite setup and all that, maybe we'll drag that vape back out, and I'm sure it needs like a new power supply or something. It's been sitting in the shed for a couple of years. Everything's still hooked up. I don't use it because I just smoke joints now. But it's all the parts are still there, and it should work fine with a little bit of dust off. But then maybe we'll do a little code hacking and try to enhance it. It'd be lots of fun. Switch debouncing, because like physical switches, if you're an ordinary person, you just say switch is closed or switch is open. You're not that perceptive. But switch contacts actually bounce, like they're a little springy. So you'll get a couple of like sub contacts, and then it breaks, and then contacts and breaks, and then it finally stops springing back and forth, and then it's a closed circuit as far as humans know. But computers will think that you hit the button 5 times. Yeah. Software debounce. So all we did is we just check to see if the button's pressed, we wait, and then we check it again. And that was enough to like damp down any like bouncing oscillations on the switches. Because otherwise, when I did not have debouncing in there, I would hit a button and it would change modes like 3 times. And I was like, fuck, I got to debounce. So I just figured out I just do a little delay, check it again. If it's still the same, we're good. And then it just looped through. So occasionally when the time linked up with a bounce where it was open again, it wouldn't register the press, but it would do it again on the next like 100 millisecond like run through the main loop. So occasionally there was a little bit of a delay on the mode change, but it never falsely changed modes after that. So it worked out really well. And then here's where I was super happy, because I figured out constants. And I figured out, because these are worth 1, 2, 4, and 8. I figured out that I could do a little bit of math to just add the bits. And I was really proud of that. And just timers for spin the fan up high for 1 minute because like there's a lot of thermal mass in it, you know, there's like a big glass tube and all that. So in order for max vape power, if you were to hit it right after it turns on, yes, you would have hot air blowing through it, but it would cool off really quickly. So what this did was it actually just like blew gentle heat through the thing for like a minute or a minute and a half. And then it would then basically have all of the glass tube that the heating element and all that is like preheated, and it's at a higher temperature. So that way when you hit it, you lose less heat through the airflow and stuff like that. And it was much more stable and worked very well. You could hit this about as hard as any human can. Like I stress tested it quite a bit, and after it was properly preheated, it wouldn't drop more than like 10 degrees Fahrenheit between like idle, you know, just sitting at like 370 or whatever. Not that hot, but like, 340, 350 or something like that. You could hit it as hard as you could and it dropped like 10 degrees. And it worked really well. So yeah, if it's hotter than 250, we spin the fan high on cooldown, and then we put it on low after 150. Above 250, spin the fan on high, down to 150, spin it on low, and then this is like 10% fan speed. And this is all PWM controlled, so I could, there's analog control of both the heater heat and the fan speed. So it worked out very well. And just all the various modes. PID is the algorithm that we used. Takes an input, in this case the temp sensor, and a set point, which is on here. It was just a pot that set your desired temperature, and then it would control the output, which was the heater, to keep things at the set point. Basic kind of control theory. PID is really cool, and I just used a generic algorithm for this. Never really played with the constants too much. I goofed with them a little bit, but honestly, like out of the box, the lib presets were really, really good. And it worked very well. It would keep it like within just a degree or two if it was just sitting there. And then, like I said, like it wouldn't drop more than like 10 degrees on full hit. And you could see it like as soon as you hit it, like it just ramped the heater percentage up to like 95, something like that. And then, yeah, here's just the little log dump at the serial port. Shit out the mode, what the temperature is, PWM, stuff like that. And here's the control, where it just read single characters. And there's a Raspberry Pi typing these, which is eventually hooked to the IRC bot. So it would just send a, like a P to the Arduino, and it would go into preheat then. And then it would send a G to actually go into like get stone mode. And then you can do C for the cooldown and then S for the standby. So it was always in one of those 4 modes. So there's my super shitty C coding. Woo. So I loved doing this though. This was so much fun. It brings back a lot of good memories. And this was like the first project that I'd like, because some of y'all remember, like I just started out like, what was the thread title? Look what I got, and somebody posted that they got a Raspberry Pi, and I just like joke posted like, hey, somebody send me one, and I'll turn it into a bong, and then OG kind of Yoast poster, couple beers, no beers, who later on became a very good IRL buddy, sent me a Raspberry Pi. It was still the first gen, so this was years and years and years ago. There's no like Raspberry Pi 3 or whatever. And sent me one. And I was like, well, shit, somebody spent money on this. And then I started doing like SketchUps and stuff like that. And, so I kind of committed to it. And so it was a lot of work, a lot of hardware engineering, a lot of learning how to kind of write loops and tests and stuff like that. I hear from him on text. He got married not too long ago. Yeah, so he's happy. He's still up in Boston. Good job, all that, but he's doing well. Yeah, max temp of 420. So yeah, the vape code. Classic throwbacks. It's a really fancy herbal vaporizer. The dumb shit you write to like kind of try to cover your butt when you're living in a not legal state. I mean, this is like, God, what was this, like 09, 2010 something? And I was still in Arkansas? Yeah, long time ago. ESPM also uses the /vape file system. This is a dancer module. Oh god, that's right. I had a shitty web UI. Pearl Dancer was like baby's first MVC for Pearl, and it was like 10 years old when I started using it. It's completely dead now as far as I know, but yeah, I had a crappy little web app. It was like total like 98 CGI bin forms based. As far as the actual browser went. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, it has not been worked on much at all so far. It needs help. Hey, at least I'm honest. Oh god. Yeah, I mean, look at this type of shit that I'm doing here. H4, center. God, no blink tags. Fail on that. So, anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, this all started out because I was talking about the Game of Death repo. So if anybody wants to fork this, or do a PR and try to improve some things, I will definitely do a code review, and if it looks good, we will roll it in, and we'll have a community project here. So, looks like we don't really have any oscillators when I have that mutation code in there. It seems to not hit any kind of stable oscillation points, which makes sense. That was cool. It's like a big number 6 or something. Fascinating. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I mean, you could like hit the lotto and never get a mutation. Be neat to see if we could how could you have both the kind of diversity of life while possibly getting oscillators later on? Maybe like look at the generation, and as the generations go on, basically they're going to start inbreeding, right? So you'll have fewer and fewer mutations. So we can look at the gen and then make it harder and harder for any particular cell to be a mutant. Yeah, so gen is the variable. Curious. Let's mess with some code and let's let this run for a while and see if that actually works. So what would some good math be for this? If we want it to become less mutated as the generations get higher. Because we still want it to approach 100. Trying to think here. So if we want something to basically approach 1 as it gets larger in number, 100 divided by sketching this out here. So that'd be kind of exponential, right? That would approach 1/2, right? After Gen 100, that'd be divided by 0. Anybody got any ideas? What'd that do? This starts out 1 over 101, and then 2 over 102. That approaches 1/2, right? No. So if it's like 1,000 to be 1,000 over 1,100. So yeah, that does approach 1 and doesn't reach. Yeah. I'm going to throw this in. And I know, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, but let's force it. Send that up. I really hope this doesn't like accidentally create a swastika. Oh wait, we need to multiply this by 100, right? Or I want to do this. Yeah. Because it's obviously like going way mutated way fast now. There we go. So I can make some very stable societies very quickly. Fascinating. Groovy. All right. Top of the hour, quick break. Thanks everybody for hanging out and have fun so far. We're not nearly done. After this, we may poke with this a little bit more. May fire up the software-defined radio and tune around. I've wired up some little boxes that'll help things kind of run better there. And yeah, so the fun is not over yet. So everybody hang back for a couple minutes. I'm going to take a quick break, and we will be right back here on the Mattyzcast. And we are back because it's cold as hell out there. We have Graupel coming down. It's like snow, but it's also ice. So yeah, Denver is very frosty. It dropped like 30 degrees between yesterday and today. So it's cold and kind of shitty out there. So I'm glad I'm here playing with electronics. It really likes those spiral patterns, doesn't it? That's cool. But that's a pretty efficient layout of a city. You know, you got some streets, you got some houses. I dig it. I dig it. We should use this for a little bit of urban planning. Yeah, Graupel comes quite frequently here due to our weird fucky weather conditions. Yeah. Weather's getting weird. More extremes, more extremes. Oh, that would be really cool. Yes, have this generate neighborhoods and city skylines. Or maybe have it like alter traffic patterns or something like that. I wonder if there's some sort of like backend interface. Yes, some way to integrate like serial data into city skylines. That would be really fun. I like that idea. That's really cool. I may have to play with that. I might also just like fire up the stream like on off nights and just play Skylines because I fucking love that game. Ugh. I've got my San Francisco Bay Area map. Um, Hell yeah, 2000's good too. That's a solid game. Lots of fun. Yeah, I did a map import because there's tools to read like actual height maps and stuff into a Skylines map. So I did the Bay Area from like North Bay down to like San Jose and then like over. I got like past Oakland and stuff like that. Like it's a pretty good chunk. And I worked on it for like a month and a half. Having never been to SF, so I was kind of just working off of maps and like neighborhoods and kind of general descriptions of what things were like. And I knew like Oakland was like this weird sprawly shithole, and like SF was weird and hilly and like didn't have tall buildings and stuff like that, and you know, the airports and stuff like that. So I ended up with this weird like kind of vacuum created Bay Area. Um, and I think the funniest part was that I made Treasure Island nothing but garbage dumps in one residential lot, and that ended up being the highest valued property on the map. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I may drag out Skylines and stream a little bit on some off nights. Yeah, I'm going out there in April. Woo! So excited. We're gonna rock it. We're gonna tear the city up. It's gonna be fun. I'd never live there, but I love to visit, especially when the company's paying. Hell yeah. I still haven't seen the Pacific during daylight hours. I saw it at night. We went out for crab and then we walked down to Ocean Beach, and it was pretty and awesome. And I took a sip of ocean water and all that. Yeah, totally. Let's go. Let's like freaking go. Cause yeah, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more roaming time in this time because my like previous trips, I've been like, okay, I'm going there to work, and I like work, and then I go back to the apartment and just like drink. Um, but yeah, I want to do some more stuff there. And then I was thinking of maybe actually staying like 3 or 4 extra days and maybe renting a car, and then checking out some areas because I am thinking about maybe moving to NorCal. So I was thinking about just blasting up north and seeing what I can see. I know what I'm getting into. I know it's you know, some crazy hillbilly shit. You know, after you get a certain distance out. But yeah, we're gonna explore. Because they keep crunching my rent up and up here, and if I'm gonna pay $1,800 to live in Denver, I'm gonna pay $1,800 to live in Cali because I've always wanted to spend a year or two out there. Napa would be fun too. Yeah, absolutely. I also have a couple of coworkers trying to wail on me to move out by Tahoe. One of our TLS guys lives out there, and he apparently loves it and thinks that it'd be a really cool vibe. He says there's lots of like fishing and nature type stuff, and yes, it is a good like 3 hours out from the office. But I've already talked to former manager who would again be my manager if I were to move out there. Um, and she was like, "Yeah, you can just work remote and come in once a quarter or something like that." So definitely on the table there. So we'll see how it goes with the lease renewal in like September or something like that. Look at this fun. What the hell is this? This is a software-defined radio. Yeah, I'm thinking so too. I moved out to Denver for very specific reasons, and those reasons are now kind of vaporized. So I can do whatever I want now, and it's all just for me. So I'm totally living for me now. The only obligations I have now are to my precious grandma cat, who is currently in front of the heater, just posted up on her IKEA sheepskin. She may show up on camera later on, but for right now, she's got her sheepskin and she is happy. So we will leave her be. So what do we have here? This is a software-defined radio. This is one of the little $10 USB sticks, and currently tuned to the 40-meter ham band. So this works the same as that radio right there. However, it's just a USB stick and it's hooked up to a big antenna. I've got a little box that we'll get into that helps me improve the reception, kind of tune things up. So it's actually fairly usable. So I think I'm gonna fade this in a little bit, and we will kind of dick around and just see what it sounds like. You'd be surprised at how good sound quality you can get on stuff with this. Especially considering that it's $20. The newer SDR sticks, actually you don't. This does what's called direct sampling mode. So it will just tune HF just fine. Yeah, it's a USB stick. It looks like... That's all it is, right there. It's got an SMA antenna port on one side and a USB on the other. You plug it in and it's a radio receiver. Yeah, just like that. You can plug it into a tablet, you can plug it into a computer, iPhone, whatever the hell you want. These were actually developed to tune digital TV in Southeast Asian TV markets. And somebody realized that with a little bit of code hacking, they could just turn them into a general purpose radio receiver. So that is what this is. Let's see if we can find some people to listen into. The third generation will. Yeah, the newest ones, you just have to turn it off to change modes, but you just get a little pop-up box here, and it has 3 different modes. Quadrature, which lets you listen to all like VHF and like FM radio and local cops and stuff. But then if you pick direct sampling on the Q branch, it will receive 0 to 30 megahertz with no converter needed. Super convenient. So that's what this is doing here. Yeah, get the V3 SDR sticks, and they'll do this with no converter needed. Yeah, it's super cool. There's currently a contest going on, which is why the band is so busy here. All these signals. The very straight lines, those are just like interference, like switching power supplies and shit like that, which I've complained about before. That's what those are. But any of the kind of like variable patterns here, that's somebody talking. I've done 7,500 pounds on it. And that was pretty hairy, actually. Do you have a lift in your shop? No, when I used to have my shop in town, I did. But yeah, so this is currently connected to one of my big outdoor antennas. I have a little box here that is helping kind of tune the antenna. It's a very simple little, just a receiver antenna tuner, basically. And it helps make sure that only certain signals make it through. It's kind of finicky. Let me tweak it here. I need to go in and clean the controls. That's pretty decent. But you can also like listen to local radio with just the built-in like 12-inch antenna that comes, like it comes with a little kit with like a couple little telescoping antennas and a little mag mount and stuff like that. You can have a lot of fun with that. But this thing's hooked up to the big 35 or 30-foot vertical antenna outside. So it's on an antenna that's tuned for the stuff we're actually listening to here. But you don't have to put it on one of those. It just works best for like the shortwave stuff when you're doing this. Lots of people chatting today. It's a contest. You try to just basically just like play Pokemon with radio stations and catch as many people as you can. You don't like actually chit chat with them. You just exchange a signal report and then put them in your logbook. So that's what all these people are doing. That's why the transmissions are kind of short, like right here.
Roger, QRZ, Whiskey 8 Papa Radio.
Oh, a half a dozen or more of them out there. Something they took apart. They got the down.
You can zoom in a little bit and get a little more details on the signals. The two lines are the bandwidth. So like, this is lower sideband. So the blue line is 0 hertz, and then the green line is, it's inverted. But that's like 2.4 kilohertz right now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's over on the east side on Broadway, almost to Cold. So it's definitely on the east side. But we went there today. It was, it's kind of a...
But yeah, surprisingly good quality for a $20 toy. Now granted, I do have a big old antenna set up, and my station's kind of rigged up to where I can basically plug any radio I want into my antennas and they'll sound pretty good and pick up good signals.
CQ40, CQ40, Good Old Boys Group.
Oh, we got the Good Old Boys Group.
This is AG5SP looking for some check-ins for Good Old Boys Group. CQ40.
Try a little bit of the digital noise reduction here and clean it up. It gets watery if you turn it up too much. Yeah, not very strong signals there. This is interesting, huh? Okay, so this is actually a one of those shortwave stations that I've complained about. This is technically both a ham band and a shortwave band. So this is an AM modulation shortwave station. So if we switch over, yeah, you can just click around, just do whatever the hell you want, wherever you want to be. So this is a shortwave station. And I do not speak Chinese, so. Might be Chinese. I apologize if it's not. Is it? Yes! My ears succeed! Yes, I sure have. So you can have multiple stations coming in at once on here, and actually route them to different output devices. Yeah, so the multiple VFO ones let you click on multiple things here, and they'll all mix together.
I was really impressed when they
Yep.
first come out, but I think that was the early 60s, maybe 63 or 64.
God, he's
that
so
they
old.
did, but they were $1,900, brand new off the dealer's lot.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of one of those deals, like, 19, I could probably afford that now. So, anyways, anyways, it was just
You
one
say
of
it
those
was 63?
things to do sort of type thing. So, Anyways, they think that was
It's about $15,000 for a car.
Well, I didn't
It's about
know
right.
I don't know why they would be advertising the 13th and this week, but anyways, and that can't be right. What is it, 13th?
Yeah, there's a fellow in the radio Slack, or in the radio channel in our Slack, Jello. He's got a couple SDRs, and he can follow trunked radio cop systems because he has 2 sticks.
Nothing new came up and all that stuff. I watered this morning, and I didn't figure I needed to water this afternoon.
Where the hell do these people live that they're watering plants already?
It's kind of strange. That must have happened. Well, it's 72 right now, but I think
72 degrees. Anybody jealous of that? I am.
Storm or whatever it is over in California, I guess. It looked to me like it kind of fell apart. It looked like there was a little radar trace someplace up towards Phoenix.
Yeah, I think Steve was saying they expected to get rain, but nothing fell out of this one.
That's what my thermostat's at right now. Of course, I think I may need to modify my set temp on my thermostat because it's a very basic unit, and my exposure's all blown out, but yeah, you can't see it all. It's not that dark in here. I've got the exposure on the camera way the fuck down so it'll capture the game of life, but my thermostat's right behind my audio rack, so I think that's causing it to not run quite so much, so I may need to turn that temp up because I'm not moving my gear, that's for damn sure. Let's tune around and see if we can find some other people talking about anything interesting. Contester.
For $130, $130 including shipping. Telephone number 805-610-5803.
Oh, it's a buy-sell trade net.
805-610-5803. We're just about halfway through the list. WB2ZEI, Armand, and Sacramento with the West Coast Swamp reading today's list. Number 11, Whiskey 6 Fox Mike. That's also Ron. Ron's in Atascadero. And if you're dreaming about EME, your dreams have come true. You found a 6-meter EME array that's brand new, never been used. And
moon bounce.
It's still in the box. A lot of the stuff is in boxes. He's got 4 M-squared antennas, 4 of them. There's 6 Mike 7 Juliet Hotel Victor antennas. 2 are brand new, 2 have been...
so these antennas are like 35, 40 feet long and 8 feet wide.
6 element...
And he's got 4 of them to bounce signals off the moon.
Antennas. He also includes the Mike Tango 1000 Alpha Echo Lima elevation rotator that comes with a Romeo Charlie Romeo Charlie 2800.
I'm curious how much he's going to ask for all this shit.
Also comes with the Hotel Fox 6 Mike. This is a 2x2 H-frame for the antennas made out of aluminum tubing. Like I said, 2 antennas used, 2 brand new in the box. Package price $4,500 for the EME.
That's cheap, actually. That's like half price of all that shit put together. 4 giant antennas that you can elevate and point at the moon and bounce signals off. Because why? Because you can. It's the mountain climbing thing. $4,500 is a good price for that. I don't have nearly the space to fuck with any of that, but yeah.
805-438-4008.
So one of the interesting things is that they did make it legal for, because you're not supposed to use ham radio for any commercial or ventures for which you have a pecuniary interest, I believe is the exact phrasing. But they do allow you to post basically swap meet classifieds on the air. So there's a lot of these. People pop on and say, I got this radio, it's $450, call me if you want it. You can't actually close the deal on the radio, so you give a phone number, but you can advertise it. So that's what this is. It's just a little on-the-air swap meet.
Whiskey 7.
I think I mentioned that.
Switch around and just listen to some old geezers. See how much activity there is, though? Ham radio is not nearly dead. Now, it is a contest weekend, so there is a lot more going on than normal. But there's still a lot of old fellas just chatting.
But he said they never really produced, so I don't know. We'll have to see. I've been counting on my fingers.
See that squiggle there? That's somebody tuning his radio and spinning the dial to see what his match to the antenna is through that range. I've seen it many times. Things look different when you have the waterfall and you have that extra time dimension coming down. It's kind of cool.
I don't guess that I know. Yeah, no rain over here. I am hearing lightning. I don't know where that's coming from. It's a long ways away, but I'm hearing.
Just playing with the graphics. I'm not actually changing signal levels here. It's just you can tune the display to have different dynamic range and stuff like that. Kind of make things pop out that you otherwise might not see. Yeah.
You found it before you got any damage.
Yeah, we'll keep poking around on 40 meters here for a bit, and then I can switch antennas and we can go up to VHF and listen to scanner stuff. Yeah, you got to shit out RF for an antenna tuner and an SWR meter to actually work. So yeah, generally it's best to ID and say, hey, testing or tuning when you do it, but nobody does. You just key up and tune and then talk. That was the same thing there, that big diagonal line. Except he had a pulsed signal, so it goes beep, 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 beep. It's easier on your transmitter, and the meter basically stays the same. That sounds good.
Yeah, that's the main symptom of when that happens.
Increase the bandwidth, make them a little bit more hi-fi.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, my motor's locked up.
It's a little bit too far.
You just faded out on me there, console. What the hell you
There
running?
we go. Stupid Windows beeps.
100, alright. I'm running a...
Look at how strong that shortwave station is, though, relative to everybody else. Just that constant carrier line going down. That's your 0 hertz reference, right? And that's what the receiver uses to basically lock in tuning. This stuff, if you tune off, people sound like, duck. That's tuned too high.
I'm cold, and I looked at the
And that's dead on.
75.
And then that's tuned too low. So we have to have accurate radios for this single sideband stuff, because if we're tuned off frequency, it won't be intelligible. But with the AM stations,
视频流的抖音啊，对于我们品牌的这种形象的变化还是很有帮助的。那么彩色方面墨水呢，在网上卖的很火的一个
locked in sounds good.
领域呢，是一个比较热的市场。
Kilo 6 Romeo Mike Delta, K6 RMD, that's Mel in San Bernardino, and he has a group of amplifiers that are UHF. They're
still selling shit. Scroll down a little bit, see what's going on farther down. It's just a carrier tone. I've talked to that guy 5 times before. Not in this contest, but just in contests throughout the years. The 7174, yeah. This is where the Spanish-speaking guys blast out 3,000 watts of power. It's pretty fun. That guy's using a radio that is transmitting slightly off frequency. That's why he sounded kind of... But if I go down to .7, he'll come in. See how how you can, like, they kind of overlap. Contests, that's a really bad thing, because everybody jams together and it's really hard to, like, pick people out. That guy's in Connecticut. They talk so fast. Fascinating. Cool. Before we switch antennas, I'm going to pop down to the 6 megahertz band. This is shortwave broadcast. Just want to see if we can get Radio Havana, Cuba for a little bit.
Situation in life like a breakup, maybe a divorce in a marriage, or the death of a loved one, and 6 months, a year later, they're diagnosed with a life-threatening disease. There's connections there. I just want to
tune this stuff in a little bit. The reason that you need one of these little tuner boxes that I'm twiddling with here on the side is because if you don't have something like this, like I'll put it in bypass. All this is interference from AM radio broadcast, local stuff, and it basically wipes out everything else. So you need like a certain little circuit to not let AM broadcast through, and kind of tune the antenna to what you're actually wanting to listen to. And that's what I'm messing with here on the side. Some crazy religious broadcasters there. Tune down, see if there's anything actually interesting. I think that's Radio Havana, Cuba there. Not coming in too well. They have a strong carrier, but not much audio. See how there's not much on like either side of the line? They have lots of kind of interesting news and stuff on there. I like to tune in. They have really good music and stuff too. Chinese community is making more use of data, but mostly in the post-production stage and in the marketing. Cool. So I'm kind of poked and seeing what these can do on the shortwave bands, and they do work adequately there. You do have to have a little bit of support equipment, but I'm gonna switch antennas here. Let's see everything go away here. Yep. Shut up. It's not picking up a damn thing right now. Fix this real quick. Alright, and then what we can do is we can switch over and see if there's any local stuff that we can tune into. And kind of show you the other side of these little USB sticks. In order to do that, you have to switch that direct sampling back to the quadrature. There's a lot of math involved in these SDR sticks, but basically they do a phase shift to figure out where things are, and it's kind of neat. I don't fully understand it. I kind of do, but enough to run these things at least. So we will that over on my other screen and start it up. Now we can't listen to anything this low here right now. It's not actually working. That's just randomly calculated noise inside the computer, sort of. But if we start going up in frequency, let's go to let's take a quick spin through the FM band. You can see what FM signals look like. And in order to do this, we need to zoom way the hell out. So one of these signals is as wide as that entire 40-meter ham band that we were listening to a bit ago.
New interpretations of centuries-old music and today's masterworks.
These things sound really good.
All in our playlist.
This is 88.1 local classical station.
Public media is truly a precious thing, and it thrives in communities that support it.
I listen to CPR News, CPR Open
Sounds really good.
CPR
So this is interesting here. This is going to be some Tejano probably. Let's talk right now. So, interesting hack that they've done here. So this is 87.75 megahertz outside of the FM band. However, this is actually the same as the audio carrier on analog TV channel 6. It's exactly 87.75. So you're like, why is this coming through? Yeah, we'll like tune in and see some like RDS stuff. This will do it. So this is a local music and talk station that serves the Hispanic market in Denver, and it was literally easier for them to get a channel 6 TV license and broadcast only audio. So when you tune this in on a TV, they just basically have a Windows screensaver running. But if you tune in on a radio and you specifically need either an SDR that can tune anywhere, or more likely an old shitty desktop radio with an analog knob, if you slam it all the way to the low end, you'll be able to pick up TV channel 6's audio carrier. So that's what they do. They use it for a local news, talk, and music station for the Hispanic community. I was confused for the longest time, and then one time on a hunch, I was like, wait, is that channel 6? And lo and behold, dead on. And then I tried tuning a TV to it, and it's an analog TV station here in town. That whole "there was no more analog TV" is complete bullshit, by the way. They were just trying to get everybody to buy new TVs. Capitalism. But these guys are still running, their license is still valid, and they just play music and talk and stuff like that all the time. So, but yeah, this will do the RDS text. So if they're transmitting like what the artist is and stuff like that, you'll get that text at the top of the window here. We can just kind of poke through and see what stations we can pick up here. I've got a gain control to kind of maximize things. So we'll tune up a little bit. After you listen to enough broadcast radio, you know instantly when something is Jesus radio or not. So this is a local Christian station. Now this is interesting. What's up with this shit over here? Local jazz, KUVO. This is my favorite station here in town. So you might be wondering, what are those huge bands of energy on either side? That is what HD radio looks like. So you can see here that we don't pick it up, we don't decode anything here. This is still 100% analog, but the transmitter is squirting out a couple of pass bands of digital signals on either side. And that is actually what an HD radio, what a digital FM radio tunes into. So those have up to 3 different audio tracks with variable bitrate and stuff. They can tune like how much bandwidth they use per like audio channel. But if I had my HD radio set up, which is that big ugly silver thing back behind me, over my right shoulder, there in the window, we'd be able to tune through the digital radios, stations that they're transmitting. So one station license can transmit up to 3 different audio programs. So I'm not sure what they do on their other things here, but the first carrier is always just the actual station audio, and then they may have like some talk on the side or something like that. I think there's a Denver station that like uses their HD radio subcarriers to like just spam out like stand-up comedy shows 24/7. So if you just need a laugh, you can tune in. Kind of weird, kind of funny. Really good tunes on this station. whenever I leave the house, I always put it on 89.3 so Nargle can have some cool jazz to listen to. It's amazing what these $20 USB sticks can tune in. Everything from the shortwave stuff to this, I mean, relatively hi-fi radio stuff. You know, this is about as good as FM broadcast gets. We'll zip through, see what else is on. Just kind of go through a screen at a time. What's over here?
We're incredibly proud to be on your...
And this is actually the RF energy coming out, so it doesn't really one-to-one correlate with the audio, but since this is FM, frequency modulation, you can see how there's more energy put out when they're talking, because it's actually trying to send a waveform, versus when there's silence. When there's silence, you'll see just like the various narrow spikes poking up.
Hidden Brain is one of 17 new shows CPR has added to its airwaves.
Yeah, it's great.
And we were able to bring you more voices, stories, and ideas because of support from our members who do more than listen.
And they do HD radio. You can tell there's the sidebands there. These guys do it too. Here's a very faint station. It may be legit. No, it's not, because it's 90.75. That's not a valid station, so that's like interference or something. Here's 91.1. Jesus music. 1 second. Yeah, totally. I can give you a link to the exact one that has like a couple antennas to fuck with and stuff. I'll post stuff, let you know what the best deal is, because there's like 100 companies that all sell them, and there's like a couple that are made by people that actually care about radio, and they've built like devices. Since these are basically hacked TV dongles, you know, a lot of people just kind of take the stock ones and put it out, but this one's actually been kind of specifically designed to be used as a radio receiver. Yeah, you can see everything.
And we've just been having an amazing...
Here's 91.5. This is a... It's faint. If I bump this up a little bit, you can actually see the energy a little better. And they do HD radio. You can tell there's the sidebands there. These guys do it too. Here's a very faint station. It may be legit. No, it's not, because it's 90.75. That's not a valid station, so that's like interference or something. Here's 91.1. Jesus music. 1 second. Yeah, totally. I can give you a link to the exact one that has like a couple antennas to fuck with and stuff. I'll post stuff, let you know what the best deal is, because there's like 100 companies that all sell them, and there's like a couple that are made by people that actually care about radio, and they've built like devices. Since these are basically hacked TV dongles, you know, a lot of people just kind of take the stock ones and put it out, but this one's actually been kind of specifically designed. And they do HD radio. You can tell there's the sidebands there. These guys do it too. Here's a very faint station. It may be legit. No, it's not, because it's 90.75. That's not a valid station, so that's like interference or something. Here's 91.1. Jesus music. 1 second. Yeah, totally. I can give you a link to the exact one that has like a couple antennas to fuck with and stuff. I'll post stuff, let you know what the best deal is, because there's like 100 companies that all sell them, and there's like a couple that are made by people that actually care about radio, and they've built like devices. Since these are basically hacked TV dongles, you know, a lot of people just kind of take the stock ones and put it out, but this one's actually been kind of specifically designed to be used as a radio receiver. Yeah, you can see everything.
And we've just been having an amazing...
Here's 91.5. This is a... It's faint. If I bump this up a little bit, you can actually see the energy a little better.
Tomorrow for Weekend Edition on KUNC, your connection to vital news and
There we
insight
go.
across our northern Colorado communities. All things considered on this Saturday afternoon is supported by Bath Landscape Design.
Yeah, I'd like to upgrade and get a nicer one for kind of more serious work.
Offering design,
That'd be really cool.
installation, irrigation services, and more for residential and commercial projects. Appointments now available at bathlandscapedesign.com.
Spin through and see what else there is. We're out of the public bands. Those will be like music stuff. I'll laugh if I get VOD muted here. What's back here? 92.1 Hispanic station.
Mid-second half to Rutgers, 55-42.
Some
Number 5,
sports.
North Carolina losing on the road at Clemson late first half, 29-26. Among the earlier games, and there were plenty, Indiana beat number 6 Michigan State. Top 10 matchup.
You know, I got out a marker, you know, and I drew another circle around it. And put another line through it.
That would be pretty. I'd like to figure out, because you could do that, right, with one of the multiple decoder plugins. You could listen to every FM station at once, and just like melt your brain with like clear channel times 17. Ugh.
I went to the bar.
Some pop radio. It takes a little bit for the RDS to come in because it's very low bitrate data. Let's see who else is on. One page of crappy metal or something.
And so with that, what happened?
Another one. We are 35%, 38% Hispanic, so that market makes sense. I can't imagine that there's enough church go 7 fucking Christian stations here, though. Maybe I'm overestimating Denver's hedonistic godless nature. Yeah, they tune to both of those and combine the bit stream, and then that's like it ends up being like 128K bit stream all combined, and then they just like have a couple of different MPEG streams in there.
This week, score tickets to experience Young the Giant and Fits in the Tantrums June 12th at Red Rocks. And all this week,
Those aren't quite strong enough to pick up. Yeah, that's true. We are not too far from Colorado Springs, and I guess once you do go out in the hills a little bit, you're going to get a lot of that. Now here's one we haven't heard yet, country. Well, country music.
98.5 KYGO. Who do I got here?
My name is Craig.
Where are you from, Craig?
I don't care to give them ears.
But he did hear that David Bowie did hear this Astronauts cover version of it and said that he appreciated it. 99.5.
Lots of HD radio. The kind of fucked up thing about sidechained. Yeah, slam it, brick walled country, yo. Got to compress it. Run some Hank Williams through my tube compressor here and just slam it. Get some The fucked up thing about HD radio, and the reason that I don't have that radio plugged in, even though it's technically better quality than just analog FM, is because there's a super shitty licensing model for HD radio. This is incredibly just like capitalist hell world tech industry, but if you're a station that has an HD radio signal, the signal is actually encrypted with public key encryption. HD Radio Incorporated provides the keys, and they are exploding keys. They last 1 month. And if you don't pay your monthly licensing tithe to them, you will continue to transmit the HD radio signals, but your key expires, and no HD radios will be able to decrypt the signal. It's like classic 2002 digital rights management bullshit. And it really, really bothers me that they just have that terrible business model. Sounds pretty good there. So at 100.3.
Athletic shoes and more. 60%.
The keys don't get pushed out. The keys get pushed out to the radio stations every month. I forget exactly what the system is, but basically, the keys have to be updated at the station every month with your fresh key that comes in after you cash the check, or after they cash your check, and they will expire after a period of time, because there are timestamps sent on the HD radio signal that are in the clear, so the radios know what time it is, what the calendar day is, and so there's a little chip. It's a little lockdown epoxy chip in every HD radio And that's part of the DRM system, is that if it's a month in which it's not authorized, say like it looks and says, hey, it's May 1st, and you're on April's key, it doesn't decode. It's just silence. But the shitty part is that rather than this actual station signal like shutting off, it still transmits. It's just transmitting basically garbage data. So it's super shitty. Just like the worst design. It's basically like frickin' DivX. Yeah, there's not too much interesting on FM. We're almost all the way through. I want to blast through and see. I might go up to VHF, see if there's any 2-meter hams talking. This is good at picking up local hams and stuff. Not much interesting. There's a big dead spot here. There's not many stations at all around here.
Anywhere in the country. When it comes to unlocking the investment power of rental homes, renters
Talk radio.
Is there at 10. He is the best inside linebacker, and these quarterbacks.
More sports. Denver's greatest hits, Cool 105. Oh yeah. There's the other country station. If you want to listen to just like Ariana Grande and Migos, the playlist, 107.5. 107.9 is the last possible station, and I guess this probably is a classic rock station at this point, right? So yeah, that's a visual sweep through the Denver FM radio spectrum. Woo. Yeah. It's not that exciting. It's kind of neat to be able to see like the side carriers for the HD radio and stuff like that. And there actually is a demodulator plugin that lets you listen to HD radio via one of these sticks, which is kind of cool. I don't have that set up right now, but it's a thing. Then we have to go up. That's all just like distortion from the FM broadcast, just because there's so much energy. After we get up into the air band a little bit, this is where airplanes talk, right above FM radio. Let's see, we're set to AM. And these won't be continuous transmissions here. You'll see periodic key ups when there's a plane or the central tower talking or whatever. And it's very much a kind of a whack-a-mole thing on these types of radios. To kind of find out where they're talking. There's one. Maybe not. Looks like there's a signal there, but there's really not. There we go. Kind of help pull things out a little bit. Let's see if we can find a plane.
1645 past the 15.3 on the L dole. Left, slow to 210 United.
There we go. Turn the squelch on, which will mute it when there's no signal. I can actually look that up and find out what it is. Yeah. Radio reference is the big crowdsourced database of what frequencies are active in various areas. Oh, I don't want Jefferson County. So yeah, this is Denver County, and then I live Jefferson County. Literally Sheridan Boulevard, which is the street outside my house, is that county line. So I technically live here. But much more interesting here. Let's look at Denver. What frequency is this? 120.8.
Whoa, 170 to Diamond Southwest 777.
This is one of the final approach frequencies. So you'd switch to this when you're actually landing your airplane. and they talk very quickly, and they have like lots of lingo and kind of code language that they use. So it actually turns out to be not that exciting to listen to, unless you're like a serious air nerd, an air foamer. Foamers are that's the term for people that fucking love trains, because they foam at the mouth whenever they see a train. So we talk about foamers whenever you listen to railroad radio. And there's a lot of that around here too. You can tune into all the trains bopping around, all the big like long cargo haulers and stuff. You can hear a lot of that stuff here too. Man, I really wish Numtot was not a Facebook group, because I'm not on Facebook and I won't join, but I want those memes so bad. I know, it's almost worth it. I should probably set up a fake profile for the Facebook groups that I want to goof with. What else is there? 124,675. Can't quite pick them up. Anyways, let's go up. See if there's any hams chit-chatting on the local bands. Because this will pick all that up. This is all just random bullshit noise. So here's one interesting thing. Let's listen to some squawks. There'll be a high volume of traffic on this. 144.39 is what's known as the APRS frequency. Stands for Automatic Position Reporting System. So hams have this system that always runs on the same frequency. Everybody talks to everybody else. It uses 1200 bits per second digital squawks. So like 1/10 the speed of your old dial-up modem, really. 120 characters per second ballpark. And a lot of them are just squirting out their GPS coordinates where they are right now. There's other uses for it. You can actually send like basically text messages to other people and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. And stations will automatically repeat whatever they hear. They'll like hear a squawk, record the data, and then they'll squawk that out. So if you have one of those up on top of a mountain, they can extend the range of everybody that has like a little tracker in their car with an APRS radio. So it's kind of interesting. It gets boring if you're not like a super geek about it, but yeah, people just periodically squawk out, "Hey, I'm here. I'm moving 75 miles an hour on I-25 north and stuff." And then you can look up. This is what the map looks like right now for Denver. The weather stations. I think I can filter these. Stations currently moving. That's just a list. That's not a map. That's no good. But all these squawks you're hearing correspond to somebody. Like here's somebody that W0REM has been tracking his path. He's obviously headed. He popped over here. Now he's going northbound on 135. Why am I in Wichita? Let's go over by my neighborhood. I was in this database for like a year. I haven't transmitted APRS in so long that it forgot who I was. So let's go to Denver. Basic heat map of the activity. So there's a lot of shit going on around here. There we go. Look at all those stations. These are all like, take out the weather stations, and these are all the actual hams that have these squawks going out. There's somebody that's going up I-70 to Colorado Springs. Or I-70 to the mountains, not Colorado Springs. It's very, very busy. Yeah. I go through a phase, like, I'm like, hey, maybe I should mess with APRS a little bit more. And then I set it up, and I was like, cool, I see my dot on the map, yay. And I get bored with it because I don't have one in my car or whatever. I've thought about getting a tiny little tracker that goes in my bag. and just letting it run 24/7. That way, if my bag ever gets stolen and by some chance they don't find the radio, at least I can get an indication of where it's going. But yeah, here we are. I am. Oh. Okay, that's federal. Okay. What's this weather station? I'm curious. Sometimes they label where they are like a hospital or something like that. Anyways, I'm right here in this neighborhood, if you're curious. So we'll just kind of center the map on me there. Well, yeah, lots of people bopping around. APRS is cool when you use it for its full potential. Like, there's a message board and a BBS and stuff. Like, you can send little shit. See, here's people testing and stuff, and they're just advertising their repeaters, stuff like that. So you can do interesting things with it, but 90% of the users just use it as basically ham radio low jack, which is kind of dumb. There we go. That's my grid square. So we use what are called Maidenhead grid squares. I know, I giggle too. I guess it was the dude's name or whatever. But it splits the Earth up into 1x2 degree boxes, latitude and longitude. And I'm in Delta Mike 79. So whenever I'm having like a VHF contest, I tell people that I'm in Delta Mike 79. So pretty much covers most of Denver and about half of the spread between here and Colorado Springs and so on. But like these guys are like DM 89 or something like that. So it changes. I forget the exact numbering scheme. But that's generally the area that you'll see like local VHF coverage is one grid square. Yeah, here's somebody that you can see the paths on there. It's kind of interesting. See where people are traveling and stuff like that. And like people have gotten freaked out before, like, hey, aren't you like a little paranoid that somebody's going to track you and like hunt you down and steal your ham radios? But you got to remember that until the boomers die out or quit being hams, let's put it that way, until they're no longer on the air, the Venn diagram of ham radio operators and gun owners is virtually 100% overlap. So if you're an aspiring criminal and you want to use APRS to track down victims to carjack or whatever, you're probably going to have a bad time. So yeah. Yeah, here's somebody bopping down 76 there a little bit, zipping around. People do like experimental balloons and stuff and use APRS too, and you can track them all the way over the place. Yeah, I don't have ham plates either. I don't really care about it. If you can't tell that I'm a ham radio operator by the porcupine nature of my truck, then it probably doesn't make any sense. Like a ham plate's not going to help. Plus they're like an extra $30 a year, so whatever. So yeah, APRS is kind of cool. If you actually apply it and like use the messaging system and stuff like that, I'd love to find a few people that actually use this as basically ham radio SMS, because you can send messages out to like distribution groups, all sorts of neat things, and people just don't ever touch that. They just shit out their position, and it's just kind of boring. So I'd love to find some people around here that want to kind of hack on it, because you can set up a little bulletin board and all that. Here's like a lot of this is like automated weather reports and stuff like that. But here's just the traffic on the like message board side of the network. It's all tied up on the internet backend and stuff like that. So this is actually like, you see a lot of stuff. It's like JG6YCL. This is over in Japan. We can actually click on them, I think. See where he is. He's in Helsinki. Oh, no? Oh, that's the default for this. He does. Yeah, he's not even posting his location. So the system doesn't even know where he is, but he's still using it as a message board, which I think is cool. But I know he's in Japan because that's a Japanese call sign. I bet we'll see this guy. Yeah. Yokuhashi, Japan. Clean diesel, baby. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Gotta have that clean diesel. Oh, wow, way down in southern Japan. Neat. Yeah, let's just take a look at Tokyo. Incredibly busy. Ham radio is actually incredibly popular in Japan. They have like 3 times as many hams as there are in America. But that's because you have separate operator and station licenses. Oh God, CW on a button? No. Yeah, I'd never do that. But yeah, over in Japan, they fucking love ham radio, and everybody gets their operator license, which doesn't mean that you can actually get on the air, because you have to have a station license for wherever your radios are actually installed. So a lot of hams over there will have their operator license, which you have to have, but then they'll belong to like a club or something like that. And they'll just go to the club station and operate, because the population density is just so massively high that like you don't get that thing like, you know, with the like US hams where they can just buy 40 acres of Kansas shitland and put up huge towers. That's not an option over in Japan, but they love to use radio. So they just get 10 or 20 of them together and put a club station up, and then they'll go in there when they want to like actually get on long distance radio and stuff. So that's why the map is so dense, and that's kind of why they're so into this. It's kind of weird because like the actual retail market for ham radios, the U.S. is basically an afterthought. It's driven by the demand of what Japanese hams want, because all the big manufacturers are in Japan. The big 3, we call them: Kenwood, ICOM, and Yaesu. And so they listen to the Japanese market first and foremost when they're designing new radios and releasing them and stuff. And then they might bring some over to the US. Oh, I believe that. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'd love to get some like ICOM swag, because as you can tell, I've got a lot of them. That's my brand. It's just a Ford versus Chevy thing, really. But yeah, I buy ICOM radios. I've got radios from all 3 big manufacturers, but I spend most money and resources on ICOMs. I just like the way they run. So yeah, there's just a general map of APRS across North America. Poor Canada is not really too much in the game, but they got hot spots. Bay Area, LA, California has always been a big ham radio haven just because it's sheer population. So it's more fun because, you know, the population density is higher, you know, relatively. I mean, how many people are in California? Like 47 million or something ridiculous like that. So it's more fun because you can talk to people, you know, just statistically like 0.2% of US citizens are hams. So if you have just a shitload of citizens crammed together, you can have a better chance of talking to people. And then, of course, East Coast is super dense, so lots of activity there. So this is just a super basic heat map of where hams are in the US and Canada. Van crew holding it down pretty well. That's pretty cool. They have a bunch of ships, too. I like it. That's rad. Didn't even think about that. Maritime position reporting. That makes sense, though, right? So, yeah. Fun shit. Fun shit for sure. So, now that we've gone through APRS, I will turn off the squawks because they're honestly not that exciting. Hell yeah. Awesome. Let's see if anybody's actually talking right now, though. That wasn't anything valid. Not much activity right now. Which is kind of surprising. 5 p.m. on a Saturday, I would think a couple dudes would be chit-chatting. That's a digital repeater. We can't decode it without some extra program started up, but that's what DMR sounds like. That's actually digital voice once you decode it. I've got a radio that'll do that, though not on this band. 146.77. Actually, if we zoom in, it'll be a little bit shy of that. So yeah, 767. Yeah. This is actually interference from cable TV. This is a very common type of interference to get on this exact frequency. What is the frequencies? Let's go to John Newhouse's page here. I might be in between. I think this might be like the audio carrier or something like that. But this is just cable TV interference. This means that Comcast's system is fucked up somewhere nearby and it's leaking signal out into the air. They're not supposed to do that. And as a ham radio operator, if I wanted to, I could file a complaint with the FCC and force them to fix this because I am a federally licensed radio operator. We have that right. Ooh, Game of Life got dangerously close to a swastika there. I was a little scared. Anyways. There's another digital repeater. Yeah, the VHF band is super quiet right now. Shockingly so. Oh wow, we're even past the top of the hour. Alright, we're going to take another 5-minute break, and then we might play with this a little bit more, because people seem to have questions and curious about it, and I'll be happy to answer questions about SDR. And we'll probably pop back down to 40 meters and play shortwave a little bit in just a few minutes. So thanks everybody for hanging in with me. I'm having good fun on this Saturday afternoon. And we're going to continue in about 5 minutes, so hang tight. Mattyzcast will be right back. All right, let us do this. We are back. And I was advised via my VIP back channels that a Zcast Blaze Up session is currently being commenced. So, cheers. I left my 12-pack of Shiner out on the porch. We've gotten an inch of snow since my last break. And, so my beer was all snowy and it's super cold. ASMR beer crack. That one was good. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's spin through just a little bit more of this and we'll pop back down to shortwave because it should be livening up. It's just that time of day. Yeah, I should. I've thought about trying to mic up the soldering iron to get like all the little sizzles and stuff when I do soldering, because it sounds good. So that signal right there, that's a digital repeater. That's loud as hell. That actually overloads the radio. You see how everything else went dark? It's because they're so damn strong. They actually interfere with a lot of my radios, but they're a ham repeater, so I can't get them shut down. It's basically on me to fix it. So we'll scroll up a little bit. We'll pop through some of this. This is a public service band. There's a lot of cop radios here in kind of the more rural areas. Boulder still runs around here because there's so many hills in Boulder that more advanced radio systems don't really work. They got some digital stuff going on there. That's a different type of digital system. That's called P25. My scanner will pick that up. It won't listen to DMR, but it'll pick up P25 stuff. And that's Motorola's standard for digital radio. But a lot of these digital radio systems around here, some of them only transmit when they're actually have voice on them. Some of them just stay hot 24/7 and the radio basically goes into mute. So yeah, you spin through the VHF band. There's not much here. Marine. I live in Denver, so no. But that's where you would hear stuff on a coast. There's about 158 or so. I zoomed out, yeah. This is rail, 160 to 162. There's a lot of train stuff here. So this is where the foamers have their scanners set up to listen to. It's kind of hard to grab them because they do short transmissions. But if you have a scanner that has like all the possible frequencies programmed in, you can follow a lot of traffic and listen to the BNSF rail from, here to there and stuff like that. It actually carries really far. Oh, is that the knob? The spinny knob? I've actually seen where people have rigged that up to this, yes. That would be really badass, actually. There's a train.
It's a whole pack consisting of 3 springs.
There's a lot of jargon and stuff, so I don't really understand it. And this is not like RTD transit stuff. They have a digital system that they talk on for like actual light rail around here. I've thought about building one, actually, because now that I know how to make a USB HID device out of an Arduino, and I know how to buy rotary encoders, I was thinking about making a little box. It's just like the size of, pack of smokes or my wallet or something, with a nice big knob on top, and then, yeah, just spin through. I think that would be really fun. I should see if I can pick up a PowerMate and see if I can get it working. That's actually a moving train. You can tell there's the kind of fading. And then up here, what the hell are these guys?
National Park and the Medicine.
These are your NOAA weather stations. This is the one out of Denver Airport.
Additional details, trapped in 30%.
There's a couple others. They do a simulcast here in this area. So if you have a little weather radio, there's like 7 frequencies here that they can tune to, and they just rotate through the different ones depending on what airport nearby you want to listen to.
High temperature was 33 degrees and the low 15. A trace of precipitation fell today, which brings the monthly total to a trace.
That's good. A trace of monthly precipitation, which brings the total to a trace. I like it. But yeah, the DIA one is super strong. They used to actually have people recording voices for this, and then they switched it all to just text-to-speech. So, but yeah, that's not exactly the most exciting thing to listen to. That's just overload from the station. Sometimes stations show up where they're not supposed to on these types of little USB sticks because they just get overloaded and the math works out to where they show up in like 3 different spots. I'm not even sure what that is. Anyways, we're going to pop up a little bit higher before we go low. To the 450-ish megahertz band, because I want to show you what it looks like in an urban area with a whole bunch of like commercial radio systems. This is neat because it's a remote link for a broadcast station. So this is a link between a studio and a tower. They're always on this frequency right here. Kind of interesting. One really cool thing is that I do have the frequency written down for the KOA traffic copter. So when they're out doing laps, I can actually hear the helicopter audio and hear them talking. And what's neat that I learned is that they're always have a voice link open, and then the station just cuts them in and then fades them out. But they chit chat and bullshit between the helicopter and the station constantly when they're not actually on the air with the helicopter audio. And they've said some really interesting things, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, here we go. So we get up around 462 or so. All these little blips, these are all like business and commercial radio systems and stuff. Some of them are not coming in too well. But this is where like like a taxi service or something would run their radio system. A lot of them are digital these days. DMR or P25 or whatever. You can still listen to some of them. They don't really use encryption because the Motorola and Harris and all the radio manufacturers charge shitloads of money for encryption keys. So like all the precincts and the like jurisdictions around here that use 100% crypto, they are literally paying like $1,000 a year per officer, so that you can't listen to what they're doing. And you can take that as you will. I'm sure they're not doing any shady stuff like, pulling people over for driving while brown or anything like that, right? Completely, totally legit needs. So yeah, 460, 461, 462, there should be a bunch more activity here. Yeah, there's a bunch of systems around here. This is where FRS walkie-talkies work. So if you have the little bubble pack radios, I can listen into you with this. Kind of nifty. But all these little blips here, these carriers are just like different commercial radio systems for all the different businesses around town and stuff like that. And beyond that, stuff gets more specialized. Everything between like 475 or 480, I think, and like 820 megahertz is just TV stations. You can't demodulate any of that here, but that's where all your like digital TV stations live for the most part. And then above that is another band for cop radios. It's like 860 to 870 megahertz. And then above that, you get into really nerdy microwave weirdness. There's a tiny bit of ham stuff, but I don't have antennas set up for the really high frequencies. Like you need like just like antenna feed lines, like the coax cable, it's like $3 a foot to work up at those frequencies. But you can see them on the screen, but you can't get much info out. So this is about where things run out as far as interesting things going up the scale. So I try to tend to play on lower frequencies, and we're going to do that just now. We're going to pop back down to the HF bands. As you recall, we need to change our little mode. So we have to shut this off, change it to Q sampling, and start it again. And it's none of this is actual information. We need to go way back down on the tuner. There we go. And 7. And this is kind of silly. Like, you just click, and if you're on the lower or the higher half of the character, you go up or down. So we're about where we want to be. We're on the lower sideband, 3 kilohertz bandwidth. And you can tell that I need to back that off. And then let's zoom it in a little bit more so we can see more interesting things. 7100 to 7300 is about what we want. That'll work. And now I need to switch antennas because I'm on a little short scanner antenna that's good for local but really crappy for shortwave. And then adjust this to kind of kill that AM broadcast interference shit. Need to. There we go. I forget I had that in bypass. My little tuner box doesn't work at the higher frequencies, so I was just passing the signal straight through, but now it's actually doing work. So this is what we want. There we go. Here's our hams coming back. Cool. All right. Let's tune around and see what people were chatting about. Give it a little more juice on the volume. More contesters. Papa Japan 4 Golf. Let's see where he's from. On the island of Bonaire. Interesting. Neat. So that's where that station is right now. Pretty good haul. This is an international contest, so you hear a lot of foreign stations. These guys are just playing contest, trying to rack up those Pokemon points. Not exactly the best demonstration weekend for the shortwave bands. However, it's really good if you want to find out like what stations you can talk to and what stations you can hear. That's why I play in these contests when I do. Is that they're really good at letting you know like how far out you can go. Trying to fix some of the static and noise because we have a snowstorm here now. Snow actually generates a shitload of static, which is why it's so much noisier now than it was an hour and a half ago. It's really coming down. QRZ means who's calling me. Instead of saying CQ, CQ, You just kind of bullshit it and say, hey, who's calling me, over and over. That's kind of the standard procedure for contests. Because they want to operate fast. Some of these guys can work over 100 stations an hour easily. And if you have a big club station, you'll have somebody working here on 40 meters, you'll have somebody else talking on the 20 meter band, somebody on the 75 meter band, so on. Here's some shortwave broadcasts. Let's see if anything interesting is coming through.
How do you solve the greatest crisis of our generation?
There we go.
One person at a time.
That's Jesus Radio.
40 million people today live with AIDS. There's
They're not strong enough. Oh, here we go. This is cool. See these guys hanging out here? We're going to actually switch to USB. Not Morse code. This is radio teletype. This is one-way pad encrypted military traffic. People know what it is, but they can't decode it. There's just absolutely no way. These stations blasted out 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So there's no information you can get. But some people do know where the transmitters are. I don't know where this particular one is. Yeah, no, they're super bad and super vicious. Like, the people that listen to Christian shortwave stations are super, hill people, you know what I mean? So this is, yeah, that's military deedles. I've been working on my Spanish because there are so many Spanish shortwave stations that I really like to be able to enjoy them. Because there's virtually nothing that you can pick up that's in English that's not a Christian station now. You can listen to, like, the 3 hours a day that they have Radio Havana, Cuba on their English feed, but that's about it. So, a lot of contests on the 40 meter band. I'm gonna switch antennas real quick and go to my big horizontal wire. I need to get up and change the cable, and then we're gonna go even lower in frequency and see what we can get down on 75 meters. Alright. Switching antennas. I don't buy antenna switches because I can just get up and do that. It's fine. And I don't switch back and forth too much. I actually do have a switch here on the desk. It's built into my antenna tuner. That little tuner box there. Sorry things are still so dark, but camera limitations. And I just hook up like 2 or 3 wires from my feed-through panel there to this, and then I can hop back and forth. But we're just going straight into the SDR today, so... let's go down to 4. And this is the top end of the 75 meter band. We're going to go to LSB. And then see if we can tune some old men in. To adjust this a little bit. That looks to be about right. Here's another military radio teletype station. More 24/7 stuff.
Blowing around and throwing the drift here and there. Otherwise, thanks for calling that, Steve, and hopefully next Saturday pans out for the convention, so we'll see what happens. Thanks for letting me in. This is WD0AH. Okay, Mark.
Their station's just a little bit farther down, which is why you have that high, kind of whiny sound. That's actually the bass in the next station's voice.
Okay, thank you.
As we go down, I'm not sure where they are exactly, but you can't jam up too close. Generally, you want to stay like 5 kilohertz apart, but sometimes they go like 3 kilohertz apart. And since that's the bandwidth of these signals, you can get some bleed over. Because the filters in radios aren't like, they're like lines for the cutoff. They're not perfect. So sometimes you'll get a little bit of bleed over.
You get the hell out of there. You go out there, your brain catches up. I don't know, there's something about that smoke break. I still miss that. Absolutely. And believe it or not, right.
Once you get the smoke break, you never forget it. Ain't that the truth?
Hard steel metal fabrication, hard steel fabrication. May not want a cigarette or have one hanging in my lip. I'm talking about, I feel sorry for the guys that never smoked at work. Because I'm not kidding you, they missed that whole thing. And you actually go out there and reset, you know? Yeah, you're like...
Anybody else feeling this? I sure as hell am.
I think it's true, don't you? I mean, I swear. Eric, I'm envious, dude. I'm sorry that you can't quit, though, because I know what that's like. You feel like, oh my God, it's killing me. Damn shit, it's killing me, but anyway.
Tobacco in the pipe, as always.
I swear to God, Eric. I miss smoking a lot, but I'm not going to go back to it. Unless you die tomorrow. So then I'm going to go back to it. I won't even lie.
That one got me a little bit. Let's run down, find something else interesting. The 75 meter band is hopping. So, this is going to be the big hot zone, the screen here. I like to tune without the noise reduction here. And then once I find a nice strong station, I can turn it in. They sound really good.
Appliance operators that get, like this radio, the 7600 icon. I don't use all this stuff. They'll never figure out how to actually operate the plane. That's why I think many of them are...
One classic complaint right there. That's a timeless piss and moan. They buy a fancy radio. It costs like $6,300, and it's got a bunch of features and a bunch of buttons. And then they complain about how complicated it is to use. Because they used to have a radio that had like 4 knobs back in '62 or whatever. You know what I mean? So now there's just too many damn buttons on this. Despite the fact that it can do like 100 times more things. But they don't care.
You mentioned big screen TVs, and that made me remember something that happened this morning.
It's just pure trash.
Yeah. What's that, Nate? Oh, I got up this morning and turned on my TV, and it's got a Cat 5 cable to it that's plugged into the internet. Anyhow, it came up with a screen in the middle, and it was a message of some sort, but I wasn't able to read it all. It went away before I could read it all. But it was something about Vizio smart TVs that was purchased between February 14 and some other date. I don't know what that was. It's something about it, an upgrade or a recall or something. I wasn't able to read it all. It was only there for a few less than a minute, maybe 30 seconds. And well, here's one.
This is classic.
That's from 2013.
Jim fucked up by plugging his smart TV into the internet. Ever.
The house fire was March the 9th of 14, so it probably was bought in about the 1st of September. Here it is. Many consumers don't realize that they qualify for change. Okay, let's see what it says here.
There's like 82-year-old dudes trying to figure out what the fuck is up with the smart TV. Classic jams right there.
I'd forgotten about that until you said something about big screen TV and $17 million class action settlement will end class action allegations of Vizio collectors stored and shared viewing habits for smart TV TV owners without their knowledge or consent. It affects smart TV owners that connect.
I hope they go off about spy TVs because they'll be 100% correct.
2014, February 6th, 2017, and they could get
there. Is that going to be kind of like the tuna deal? Well, it says that you can expect in the settlement to get somewhere between $13 and $31 if you file a valid timely claim.
That's a sick payout, yo.
In other words, $31 is your ceiling. So you figure out how much work you want to go to for that. I think I'll just blow the whole thing off. Yeah. Well, the lawyers thank you. Yeah. And it'll get there just after the tuna arrives. Right, that'll be right after the tuna's in the mailbox.
They're still pissed about the digital TV tuner switch. Didn't that happen like 12 years ago?
It also has, the settlement provides $5.61 million for flash cancel expenses and a service award.
Alright, these guys are starting to grate on me a little bit though. More guys playing in the contest.
In there and let's see, there was August and Green Bay, Wisconsin, Bill, and east of Austin. Let's see, maybe not in centimeters, but down on 20, 17, and 15, it has, I think it has a little more gain. But it doesn't add up to a whole lot, maybe a dB.
Yes, actually. Before the transition, or after the DTV transition, we actually got 2 megahertz of the 220 megahertz ham band, which is some super nerd shit. Not many hams, even into the VHF local thing, have 220 radios. But yeah, so story on 220. So it used to be that it was a ham band between 220 and 225 megahertz. UPS in the early 90s successfully lobbied the FCC. This is one of the first times where a private company was able to really force the FCC to their bidding. UPS wanted to roll out a radio network for UPS trucks because they were growing and expanding and they didn't want to pay for licenses. So they just wanted their own 2 megahertz slice of band that they could do whatever the fuck they wanted on, because there are so many trucks that they couldn't possibly buy licenses for everything. So UPS wanted like a blanket license for some part of a local coverage band, so all their trucks in town could talk to dispatch before cell phones and all this, of course. And they successfully convinced the FCC to steal 2 megahertz, the bottom 2 megahertz of the 220 ham band, and give it to UPS. They could run as many radios as they wanted and all that. Ham spent tons of energy fighting this because it wasn't like it was that precious on an objective level, but it would set a precedent. They eventually lost, but there was tons of fundraising efforts, and all the big ham orgs hired lobbyists to try to get it to fail. But in the end, UPS won. And this was 4.5 to 5 years later after they initially announced their big plans. So they got awarded 2 megahertz of this ham band, 220 to 222. We then had to move all of our stations, all of our repeaters and all that shit to start at no lower than 222 megahertz. So there was a big effort. Some radios could not be moved. And it just stole 40% of that band. And UPS came back and they're like, holy shit. Paraphrase, this court case is still going and we won. Yeah, by the way, we shit canned that whole land mobile radio project 2 years ago. We don't need this. And so it was completely for naught. It was for nothing. They had moved on because by that point, cell phone networks had advanced to the point that they could just run data reporting and tracking over the cell networks. But they still stole 2 megs of that band until later on, when they did the digital TV transition, the FCC took that as an opportunity, says, since we're restructuring so much stuff, and actually TV channel 13 butts right up against the bottom of the 220 band, they said, you know what, since UPS just basically pulled a dick move on hams and took this for no reason and never used it, we're going to give 220 to 222 back to hams. So then everybody could spread back out, and the whole like 5 megahertz band, and it got a little resurgence in popularity and stuff like that. And then even later on down, they just recently, in the past few years, allowed hams to use even more because TV channel 13 is used so rarely that they're basically sunsetting it. They're not giving out new licenses or renewals for TV channel 13 as far as an analog dial is concerned. Digital TV channels are all like, there's like this logical mapping, and it doesn't make any sense. So that the number on a TV channel no longer represents where in a frequency band it's transmitting. But basically, TV channel 13 got shit canned, so they now let hams use 218 to 220 megahertz for certain uses, like links between repeaters and stuff like that. Kind of niche use. But so we lost a bunch of stuff, we got it back, and then we won even more over like a 20-year period. So yeah, dumb tales of the 220 ham band, also known as the 1.25 meter band. So you see why we call it 220. Anyways, back to poking around with the old men on 75. Good question though, Bobby. See, I'll just throw some shit out and I'll mute audio and just rant for 5 minutes. I've seen so much stuff go through, even since just 91, which is when I got licensed. I gotta tell them stories and record them stories. There was somebody talking there. Especially with the nature of these types of signals, you see how they sometimes they only go for a few seconds here and there. You can really see why it's so important, why this kind of waterfall SDR paradigm changes so much in radio and lets you do so much more. When you're dealing with like intermittent transmissions, you can see where somebody's hanging out, and then you can pop over and just park there. Versus like this radio here, which listens to exactly one frequency at a time. Imagine like just being unlucky and you spin through all in between words and stuff like that. You wouldn't know that anybody was talking there without slowly tuning, and so on. So this is, I mean, even though this is a low bit depth SDR, these don't get really faint signals. That's why I have to play with the gain so much, because they'll either not be able to hear anything, or they'll overload. Just covering, like, I can cover 2.4 megahertz of spectrum, so it's taking in a lot of numbers. There's like up to a 3 megabit per second stream that this is pumping into the computer, which is doing all the work.
Let's say your 80 meter runs east-west. Probably what would be really ideal is if you could make the 40 run north-south. Doesn't have to be exactly like that, but whatever you got on your property to accommodate that. But that way you would have 40 meter and
Ow. See that guy tuning up there? That was rude. Don't tune up on other people. Sadly, the trivia net's not on yet. Be on in a few hours, but that's where it would be, 3916.
Okay, we got a good signal too, Mel. Yeah, something must be on the same radio.
Let's keep going up, see who else is up there. Stop at 4. It thinks it's in a shortwave band. Not anymore. There's not any actual shortwave stations that can be heard in this hemisphere over there, but this tries to automatically switch the mode and twist knobs over here, basically, based on where you are. And I need to fix that.
I get you one built by Black Cat. I had a Black Cat. I had a Black Cat amplifier. Good, eh?
Black Cat makes illegal CB amps. That's the joke there.
Yeah. W0 PBR, John, Sioux City. Sioux City South. WB0 PEO, Wayne, Ogallala.
Yeah, good evening, Steve. I guess 8 degrees with light snow.
Jeez, that's kind of harsh. Good evening, I guess.
And wind chill's about -12 with a northeast wind at 20. WB0 PEO.
Nice winter there, too. Thanks, Wayne. Have a good evening. KB0 PGZ, Western Omaha. WB9QAF, Paul in Omaha.
So this is a net. They just check in every night, it sounds like.
QLH, you still copying?
Alpha Lima Tango, over.
Oh. There's Walt.
Okay, got it. My call sign is Kilowatt Romeo
I'll fix that.
4 Hotel Victoria.
Host will be on frequency here shortly. This is KC7ZZ closing the net at 5:49 p.m. Mountain. Good on that.
All through. So there's a lot of activity in this band. I mean, if I zoom out to see the whole thing.
KG52W.
There's a lot of room there. There's room for a shitload of signals. Some of these are actually legitimate carriers, like this 3885 here. That's where the hams that use amplitude modulation hang out. So that's why that's the carrier signal there. Maybe hear them.
Rob, I was hearing you, and I was also here.
There we go.
Let's see, was it? Was it Bruce in Wisconsin? Anyway, I was hearing both of you very well here, but you guys might have.
Hear how hi-fi this is compared to the other sideband stuff.
Lengthening out. Well, the other night the band really lengthened out. I was not able to hear. I thought. Let's see. I wasn't able to hear NAZRD.
These are the slow talkers that key up for like 8 minutes at a time. But they sound good, don't they? That's why you use AM. If you notice, it's relatively quiet because AM can transmit silence because it uses that center carrier signal. Let's zoom way the hell in on this, dude. See that central carrier? That's always there. So that's the reference signal for the radio. I actually know that this guy is probably using an old tube transmitter because his carrier is a little bit off. He's a little bit off frequency. Like, just looks like just under a kilohertz. But AM will lock on to that and sync to it, which is why we can still hear him fine. Like, I bet if we go to 3886, it would be more dead on. But he's not actually on 3886. 885 is the standard, so his radio is just miscalibrated, but AM gives you a little bit of wiggle room and locks that on to where the pitch is the same no matter what.
Like the national tune-up frequency, I think there were 3 or 4 separate, 3 or 4 different carriers just constantly,
Looks like there's somebody on 3895 too. Not nearly as strong though. These guys are kicking in a lot better.
Like 3 or 4 different carriers.
And here, as I bring the filter down, the treble goes away, but some of that interference does too.
Say that happens, why don't you get a dummy load, you dummy? Because you're.
So I like the AM gang because they run old radios. They're generally pretty cool. They're not really like the political hollery type because AM is less efficient, so you don't talk quite as far. And the people that want to scream about Hillary getting, you know, locked up or whatever, they want to use the most efficient mode possible to offend as many people as they can. So they're generally safe to chat with on AM, but you do need a really good station setup because it is a lot less efficient. But the reward is that you can have a really hi-fi signal and you can have some very nice, you know, long kind of rag chews, and it doesn't tire your ears out. Looking for some nice loud signals, not too much. I'm seeing here's a couple. More contesters. You probably see more of them just trying to get contest points down here.
I hear you and hear him, or hear Dennis and hear him. So rather than just sit there and constantly switch back and forth and try to make it happen, I let Carl handle it. Yeah, I do.
Just noticed my other radio lit up, the 2-meter local, just seeing who was on. I actually got the connectors to wire that in, so we'll be able to use my 2-meter radio on the stream too, and that might be more interesting because it's pretty easy to make contacts, and it also sounds a lot better because it uses narrowband FM. These guys are kind of weak, just signal wise.
Kansas is going to get really walloped.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit north of you. We've got, rain here.
We're about to wrap it up anyways. See if we can get through. This is what I bitch and moan about the switching power supplies. That's what they look like. You notice it's not stable because they don't put like precise control of the oscillators that do the switching power supply stuff. So these are harmonics, so they're like 200 times higher in frequency, or like 20,000 times higher rather, than the original signals that they were trying to generate. And when you multiply the errors, which is why that's so kind of drifting all over the place and why it drives hams fucking crazy. Because even if I did have a filter that would notch that out, I'd have to constantly wiggle it around and move it around. Otherwise, you just get to listen to that. And they also drift. So you'll see one going up on a diagonal over time on this waterfall if we were watching it. And so it'll blast through a bunch of stations in like a 5-minute period. It's super frustrating. Now this is digital stuff. That's FT8 right there. Sends 13 characters every 15 seconds. Some code jockeys. There'll probably be some CW on here. Oh, power supply. CW is so narrow to really have to zoom in. Find that dude. Where was he? This is only like 7 kilohertz bandwidth there. I'll zoom out a little bit more. It might have faded out. I'm not even sure what that is. It's a constant signal, but I don't know what. There we go. So this is an example of why code is so efficient. You can still kind of hear them in there. And this is only a 300 hertz bandwidth, so we're only listening from like 700 to 1,000 hertz here. Everything else is nuked out. But that's still something that you can pick out there. versus when you switch to lower sideband and try to tune the same thing. It's even harder to get because you have all that white noise on top. And it's harder to kind of pick out. So that's why old hams still say CW is the best. I don't agree. I like some of the digital modes that are objectively superior, but it's really not worth fighting over. If you like sending Morse code, fine. Like, I just suck at it, so I can't really enjoy it that much. I can do it, but I can't do it high. I learned that. You can't smoke weed and send Morse code at the same time. And I probably would screw up on camera, because, I mean, you know, it's like trying to type when somebody's watching you at work or whatever, and you're just like, forget how to type, and they leave, and you're just like, 120 words a minute. It's basically the same thing. But we'll see. I may fire up the code key, and we'll just see how bad I am sending code and receiving code on the stream. It might be fun.
I'm thinking, I wonder where are you sick or what? You
So,
know?
there we go. We spent almost the whole time playing with the SDR. That's really cool. I'm glad I hooked it up. I had the idea like 5 minutes before the stream, and I was just like, oh, a couple cables, let's wire it up and go. So yeah, I hope that everybody's had fun. Yeah, hands. We need an emote too. I get one. I'm affiliate. We need to upload one. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know. Because the stream logo is going to be black on black. I don't know how good that would look. So we need to figure something out. There is a ham dog that I really like. The dog with the microphone on the Y'all Slack. Mobile, that guy's moving around. It's really hard to do that on this band.
VH3JL, good evening. Name is Jerry, near Toronto.
Picking up Toronto just fine. Dude's in a car too. So that means no amplifier. Yeah, very basic. Pretty cool. Alright, well, the hour gets late, and because it is so cold here, I'm really noticing that I'm getting frosty here, especially drinking Frosty Shiner Box. Oh, shut up. Don't ever tune up on an existing conversation. Ask if the frequency's clear. Anyways, it's about that time to wrap it up. We did 3 great hours here. Nargle? You want a Nargle? Alright, hang on. I'm going to wake her up for you. So, give me a second. Say hi, Nargle. She's so mad. She is so mad right now. Nargle, you say hi? She like can't even move. She's enraged. Poor kitty. We got a Nargle though. So I guess that ties a ribbon on it. Thanks for yeah, we haven't even done any hackery today. Well, I guess we did work with a little bit on the code earlier, and I did show you my GitHub. So yeah, quick reminder, let me go back. Hang on. If you would like to contribute to the Game of Death project, I will post a link to my Game of Death repo. Feel free to work on the code, poke on it. It's pretty easy to figure out. If you have any enhancements, do a PR, and I'll take a look. And if so, you can have code that you wrote live on the Mattyzcast, which, hey, that would be pretty fun. Put that shit on your resume. Yeah. All right. Everybody have a great evening. I'm going to go put my windshield wipers up because we're at like 2 inches plus of snow already. So thanks again. Next stream, we're going to try another week with Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So your next Zcast is going to be Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain. That is 0200 Friday UTC. Yeah, this was pretty cool. And if you have any interest in buying your own SDR stick, I will add a panel to the stream page in just a little bit. So maybe check back tomorrow or something, or by the next session. And I'll have links to probably the best starter SDR to get. You're looking at between $20 and $30 for a full kit. Amazon Prime has them. They'll get them there in 2 days. So if you'd like to learn and follow along and play with that and kind of dip your toe into the world of radio, that would be a fun kind of side thing. And you can do Q&A, and I can try to tech support you, on the stream here. And we'll get you all set up so that you can have your very own laptop or desktop or whatever based radio to just kind of screw around and experiment and play with. And then if you catch the bug, you catch the bug, and there's no stopping it. I speak from experience. So check back on my stream page in the next day or so, and I'll have some links and info on what starter SDR stick to buy, and we'll go from there. So until then, 0200 UTC on Wednesday. That's 7 p.m. Mountain on Tuesday. That will be our next session. And until then, this is Matty Z with the Mattyzcast signing off. Everybody have a great evening, and we'll see you in a few days. Have a great weekend, everybody.